Hi everyone. Since I got into knitting lately, I have noticed a lot of people making their own stitch markers or finding things that they can use as stitch markers on their needles. So I thought I'd go through and find a few, but also show you how to make these really simple ones. If you're interested in making your own, there's some ones that you can make with jump rings and some glass beads. So in this video, I'll show you how to make these very simple ones. All these are 10mm jump rings and size, I want to say they're size 8, 0 glass beads. So they're really fast and easy to make. And these will fit up to a size, I want to say a size 9 needle. These are my ChowGoo interchangeables. This one's an 8. Let me see. This one here is a 9. Yeah. So these particular stitch markers will fit a size 9. Now my next video will be a little bit more complicated. I'll show you some crochet stitch markers that I made myself. These are beads, but these are removable. So these come out of here. They're also snagless. They don't snag my work. I did some with some earring backs right here. And then I made this little owl one with some beads that I found at Michael's. So I'll show those since they're a little bit more work in my next video. This one I just wanted to keep it simple for those of you that would just like to pick something up to be able to have. So one of the first things I found that's really easy are just these beads at Michael's from Bead Gallery, and these are in the metals section of their beads. They have the clear beads in between them, and then they have these circles. And these circles are completely seamless, so you don't have to worry about there being a seam in there that is going to snag your work. It will not snag your work. So you can either keep these just plain, just like this, or you can add dangles to them if you wanted to and not have to worry about sealing up the jump ring section. These, let me see here. Again, these are my size 9 ChowGoo interchangeables, so that's probably the largest needle that I would use for this particular one. So all I did was get some of these little containers. You can find these at Michael's or at Walmart, and they just unscrew and you can store them in there. So all I did with that was just went in and cut the plastic wire. And then I put all my clear beads to save for another project in one, and then I just put the silver ones in the other one. The next ones I found from Bead Gallery at Michael's are these larger hearts. And again, these are seamless as well. These are actually top hole beads, so they will go on your knitting needles and not cause any snagging either. Now they also have these available in gold if you want something to really stand out from your work. So I'll do the same with these. I'll just cut the wire and string them into another bead jar. So these particular heart beads will fit onto a larger needle. Let me see. These are on 11, so they won't work on my ChowGoo 11s. They will fit up to a size 10.5 needle. So these hearts fit up to 6.5 millimeters. Or 10.5 US size needle. Now the last ones that I found at Michael's that are pre-made, I found these on clearance. They're in the jewelry section and they were on clearance for $1.79. They were originally $5, and I figured they would fit nicely onto some of the smaller needles. Now my only concern with these is that they are thicker. They are quite a bit thicker than the other stitch markers I've made. So we'll see how that does with the yarn and the stitches to make sure it doesn't stretch them out. But to store these, they're a little bulkier, so I don't know if I'm going to store them in one of these circles. So I also found these in the bead landing section at Michael's, and they're those, what do they call these? I call them safety pins, but they look a little different than your typical safety pin. So all I have to do is just undo that and put all of these onto the hook. So before I pack these away, I wanted to see what size needle they will fit on. And they also fit up to the US 10.5 size needle, or the 6.5 millimeter needle. So they fit nicely on there. And I can just kind of stagger them if I want. And they're actually light. Compared to my needle, I barely feel them on here. Let me see. They fit, but I would say to have a smoother glide without having to fuss with them too much, I would probably limit these to a size 9 needle. So let me swap them over to my 9. They slide much better on a size 9 needle. They're light because they're only plastic beads. These aren't glass. So I'll see if I end up using them, but I thought for $1.79 I could at least try them and see how they do on my work. Okay, so now for the fun part, making your own stitch markers to match your work. So there's just a few supplies that you need, and it's very easy. The first thing is I'm using 10 millimeter jump rings. Let me get my pliers out. These are in gold or gold plated, and then I also have some silver ones. Sorry, they're mixed in with some of my scrapbook items that I've had before. A few eyelets have mysteriously found their ways in here. But for the most part, these are 10 millimeter jump rings. So they have a slit in them, and you can use them that way. A lot of people do, and they don't seem to snag their work. But I prefer to go ahead and be on the safe side and cover up that little join just to make sure that it doesn't snag on anything. So I have two different sizes here. These right here are the 8 size C beads or glass beads. And when you look at these, you'll see how they just cover up that edge, but they don't look bulky. They're even barely noticeable on there. So I really like that look because they're nice and dainty. Then if you go with the larger size 6 glass beads, it has this chunkier, bigger look to it here. So it just depends on the look that you're going for. However, one thing to note is the larger the glass bead you use, the smaller the needle. Let me show you that real quick. So two things to note is in bead sizes, a size 6 is larger than a size 8. So the larger the number, the smaller this glass bead is going to be. I forget what the 0 stands for, but these are, you'll see them, if you search for them on Joann's, it'll be 8/0 for the small ones and 6/0 for the bigger ones. So that's the difference with the beads. Now, if I take my size 9 ChiaoGoo interchangeable needle here, this has the size 6 bead on it. If I try to put that on here, it doesn't fit. So using the larger glass beads won't work on here. However, these ones right next to it, these I used the size 8 beads, and you'll see these slide on and off the US size 9 needle just fine. The 5.5 millimeter needle, these will float just fine if you use the size 6 beads. The larger one will fit up to a needle size 8. So this is a US 8 or 5 millimeter needle. And I'll again pull out the larger bead. Again, this is the size 6 glass bead, and it will fit just fine up to a size 8 needle. So these are really pretty and they stand out very well from a size 2 all the way up to the size 8. So just because it is a larger bead doesn't mean you can't use it. So I'll demonstrate how I do both. So first I'll take my needle nose pliers. This is my jewelry needle nose pliers, and I have my pocket crimpers since I don't have another set of needle nose. But I will hold them both flat evenly on each side of this jump ring. So I'll put this one flat and this one flat. That way you can either twist it towards you or away from you. So I'll pull this one away. So we twist it in the backward direction. Then I'll pick up my bead and I will just drop it onto that section. I didn't open it enough. Out of the way. There we go. Okay. So then I will drop the bead on there, come back around. Again, make sure both are flat so that you don't end up twisting your wire. And then we come back and close. And so now it's completely even and it's closed. But you'll see the jump rings usually have at least a little bit of a gap there. So now all of these little jump rings have the little glass bead on them, and again these are the larger glass beads. These are the size 6 beads that I have on here. I'm going to use this GS Hypo Cement because it has a very, very fine tip to it. When I originally looked for it, I couldn't find it because I saw the tubes of glue, but I wasn't actually looking for a box. So this particular one, let me zoom out for you a little bit. This particular one comes in a box that looks like this. So that's what you'll find it in at your Michaels. So then all I do is I take the lid off and I use a paper towel because this can get very goopy. I could have squeezed it while it was still, you know, in the tube or whatever. So I'll use my pliers to just kind of hold my jump ring while I'm looking at it here. I'll find where the slit is. So the slit is right here. So I'll just put a little dab of glue right there and swirl my bead around, and then I kind of let gravity take over and let that silicone glue drip into there, and then I kind of hang it upside down just so that the bead stays as shallow as possible on the interior of this diameter. And so I just hold it here for a few seconds and let it set. And so then all of my ones that I've already worked on, I'm sitting on this side of my napkin, and then I'll finish gluing the rest of these. I finished making all the stitch markers. I was trying to use up a lot of my jump rings since we're going to be moving, and I don't want them to go to waste. So I actually opened an Etsy store, and some of these will be available there. Now if you see a color that's here and it's not on my Etsy store, just let me know and I can post it for you. So I put 10 stitch markers in each little case here. So this one has the gold with the I guess it's like a brownish gold bead. These are the larger 6 glass beads, and then these have the smaller size 8 glass beads, and this is like a silver and peacock color bead in there. I also have some silver and light blue. These are with the larger size 6 beads. This is the lavender with the larger size 6 beads. This is the lavender size 8 beads. These are probably more like a purple, and these are more like a lavender. These are like a lavender pink. These are ones I'm keeping. I just have them here because you can see them in the cases now. These are the ones that I found from Metal Gallery at Michael's. These were the hearts, and then these are the ones that I had put on the pin that I had also found at Michael's. So these were already pre-made and I already had there. But some of these I have extra colors and extra bins of them. Also in the Etsy shop now is this set right here, which I'll show how to make in my next video. These again are stitch markers that are snagless. They're truly snagless because the end cap that I use on them, it's round, and so it doesn't have any wire or anything sticking out, and these are very sturdy as well. So those are all the stitch markers that I made, and I have plenty of extras, so if any of you are interested in having some, because they're pretty tedious to make, once as these are gone, I'm not making any more. They're really hard on my hands, but I have plenty of extras, so I thought I would post those to share. Thanks for watching.